How's it going, everybody? This is Siri here, and today we're looking at the new skill raid team. This team's called the Vigilante team, and there's a lot of interesting mechanics in the kit to where they're able to be used outside of the raid team. They gave them some offensive callouts. I don't know how impactful that's going to end up being to where you can use them in, say, Alliance War or Cosmic Crucible, because you do have to use the full team together for a lot of the kit to be able to be used properly and really punch up or punch down whatever it is that you're doing with this team. So I did end up kind of breaking down the kits where you can see what this team looks like in kind of a normal setting, what it's going to look like with the raids, and what it's going to look like on the offensive side with the full team together. So with that, let's go ahead and break down this video. So no capes, no rules, no mercy. So as you see, the new Daredevil model is called Daredevil Modern. Now this reminds me more of the Daredevil when I was a child, to where he had that yellow suit. Now I know in the She-Hulk show he ended up having that yellow suit in there. That's not really canon to me. I don't really care for that show. I thought it was terrible personally, but if you liked it, more power to you. But this doesn't really reek as modern to me unless I'm missing something. So the Vigilantes, they don't carry badges, and local law enforcement has orders to arrest them on sight, but you won't find a tougher and braver bunch to knock down threats than the Vigilante team. This squad of lethal crime fighters is composed of Daredevil Modern, Silver Sable, and the community vote winner, Hitmonkey. Hitmonkey looks very interesting to me, along with familiar faces of Punisher and Elektra. So those are the two characters that are getting the rework for this team. The Vigilante team thrives in offensive situations and is specifically setting their sights and senses on the skill raids. There'll be a key squad in a new upcoming raid, which was that Chaotic Storm that we end up seeing the Strike Spot video on, which we'll have more information on in the upcoming blog. Today we're covering the capabilities of the ferocious and the efficient crew. So Vulnerable, now with even more benefits. Yeah, this team thrives off of the Vulnerables on the other side of the field, making it very interesting on who's going to be the striker on the team. I think it's going to be Hitmonkey, if I had to really guess on there. Enemies with Vulnerable have always been the victim to increased damage and attacks. But with the Vigilante team, Vulnerables become an even greater strategic advantage. The new Vigilante recruits not only make enemies with Vulnerables pay, but reward their allies for pasting the battlefield with it. Daredevil Modern heals himself and Vigilante allies whenever an enemy with Vulnerable is attacked, even more so in raids. He also lowers the damage of enemies with Vulnerables when he's on the offense. Silver Sable, when an enemy with Vulnerable is attacked, she fills the speed bar for herself and Vigilante allies. Hitmonkey, whenever an enemy with Vulnerable takes a turn, if his health is full, he attacks the enemy with the highest health, ignoring taunt and stealth. This is for piercing, and then applies more Vulnerables. He also gains crit damage if an enemy has Vulnerable, and for each enemy that has Vulnerable, he gains a crit chance on there. The new recruits apply plenty of Vulnerables outside of ISO 8, and the team as a whole can make extra painful with Vulnerable hanging over the target's head. That was a rough sentence for me to get out. Offensive machines. Even though the Vigilantes are a skill raid team, their traits and kits set them up to pound enemies while on the offense across game modes. I'm very mixed about this because there's really no theory crafting to where you can't take somebody off and add in somebody like Mephisto, Odin, that Professor X character that we end up having, or even say Apocalypse with this team if we're using them on the offensive side of things. So I am very torn about some of the way the kits are designed on here, which we're going to go over. Offense bonus. Both Daredevil Modern and Silver Sable have offense bonuses that reduce enemy potency. Taunt and Terrorize. The man without fear, Daredevil Modern, absorbs enemy attacks with taunts via his special, ultimate, and passive abilities, while the rest of the team utilizes multi-target attacks to mow down raid waves and clobber teams. Hitmonkey allows the squad to reload quickly by dishing out ability energy when enemies are eliminated. So let's go ahead and start the kit portion. You have Daredevil Modern. So he's going to be a hero, city, skill, protector, vigilante at a speed of 118. His basic is called Assault and Battery. Now all of his skill names are amazing. I love what they end up calling these kits. So attack primary target for 280% damage, rebound chain to 2 adjacent targets for 280% damage. He's also going to be flipping 3 negative effects, 2 positive effects on self and all vigilante allies. Right off the bat, That sounds like a fantastic striker ability. Because of the way the vulnerables work on the team, I don't know if we want just one or maybe two strikers and make the rest of the raiders. I'm not quite sure how I want to go about this yet. He definitely does reek as far as being a very good striker ability, maybe a healer as well, because he does have some healing capabilities built into his kit. The ISO tech's also going to be doing the flip 3 negative effects to positive effects, and that's to all Vigilante allies. The special is called Law and Order. Energy cost is 4/4, so you are able to use this on turn 1. Apply slow for 2 turns, defense down for 2 turns, offense down for 2 turns to the primary target. So that's a great start already. Attack primary for 300% damage, bonus attack the primary for 300% damage, and then gain time for 2 turns, defense up for 2 turns. Now in raids, he's going to be doing a flip all negative effects to positive effects on self and all Vigilante allies, and he's going to be healing himself and all Vigilante allies for 15% of this character's max health. So this portion being locked behind raids for the heal, I'm not too keen on that portion of there. Now his ultimate does have a heal built into it, so he's going to have a turn 2 heal for the entire team, just not a turn 1 heal. The ultimate is called Witness Protection. Energy cost is a 4/6. This is going to be a turn 2 ability. Attack primary and adjacent targets for 380% damage. Apply +1 vulnerable up to maximum of 5. Clear all negative effects from self and all allies. Gain taunt for 2 turns. Apply defense up for 2 turns and immunity for 2 turns to self and all Vigilante allies. Heal self and all Vigilante allies for 20% of this character's max health. So his ultimate is basically able to be used everywhere, which is great. There's no stipulation as far as needing that 4 or more Vigilante or being on offense or anything. But what's very interesting is his special gives a taunt for 2 turns. His ultimate gives a taunt for 2 turns as well. So he's going to be keeping those taunts on him for quite some time. The passive, Born Again. On spawn, I'm just going to read the stuff not highlighted first. We get the gist of the kit, then expand from there. Apply +2 deflect, defense up for 2 turns, and immunity for 1 turn to self and all Vigilante allies. That's on spawn. When an enemy with vulnerable is attacked, heal self and all Vigilante allies for 5% of this character's max health. That's great. That's used everywhere. Vigilante allies gain +100% accuracy, so it's kind of unavoidable, if you will. Gain +25% block chance per Vigilante ally, so that's 100% block chance. Gain 15% block amount per Vigilante ally, so that's going to be a 65% block amount right there. Or no, that's a 60% block amount. Now, in raids, he's going to be doing a heal for 20% instead of the 5%, and he's going to be clearing 1 negative effect from himself and all Vigilante allies. Now, with the full team on offense, let's look at that portion. On spawn, if this character has 4 or more Vigilante allies, gain taunt for 2 turns and safeguard for 1 turn. I don't like how you need the full team to get the taunt on him. Man Thing, I believe it says you need 3 or more allies for the Night Stalkers team. Sentinel, also you need 3 of the Orcus members. Needing the full team really eliminates kind of the flexibility of what you could do with this team, because now you have to use that full team. Otherwise, you don't have that pre-taunt on the field, which is very, very important. Now, if this character has 4 or more Vigilante allies, this character and all Vigilante allies cannot gain bleed. I think I'm okay with that one, needing the full team. On offense, if this character has 4 or more Vigilante allies, lower the damage of enemies with vulnerable by 30%. This will not stack with other effects, such as offense down. Basically, that's saying offense down gives them a 50% damage reduction, so it's not going to stack. So you're either going to have that 30% damage reduction or a 50% offense down type of situation on there. I think I'm fine with that one, needing the full team. My main issue is you need the full team to get that taunt for 2 turns and safeguard. I think they could have made that 3 or more Vigilante allies to really allow this team to shine in other game modes. Silver Sable, I'm looking at Raider for her because she is going to be the first one going on the team. Hero City Skill Blaster. Now, she has some very interesting tags of Mercenary. Taskmaster's getting that rework, so we might be able to use some plug-and-play feature with Taskmaster and maybe Dakin with Silver Sable on a team and kind of get some mercenaries going. That would be very interesting. She also has the Spider-Verse tag, which is very interesting to me. And then the Vigilante. Basic is called Point Blank. Attack primary target for 310% damage. She's going to have a plus flip 3 positive effects into negative effects. The ISO attack is going to be doing that as well. So as interesting as Striker sounds, she's going to be going first. So we need to get the vulnerables out there early on the field. That's why I'm looking at Raider for her. The turn 1 ability, she does have a special or ultimate you can choose from. The special, we're going to do the flip all positive effects into negative effects on the primary and adjacent. Attack primary and adjacent for 280% damage. Apply slow and 2 bleed. In raids, that's also going to be clearing barrier from all enemies. I'm fine with that being in raids only. Having that outside, I don't think that's going to be a factor. The ultimate flash and clear. Energy cost 6/6, so this is also a turn 1 ability. Apply heal block for 2 turns, disrupt for 2 turns to all enemies. Clear barrier from all enemies, and then attack all enemies for 320% damage. Apply +1 vulnerable up to a maximum of 5. This gets an extra 500% extra focus, cannot be counterattacked. Now, outside of raids, on offense, if there's 4 or more Vigilante allies, reduce the duration of all positive effects by 2 on all enemies. This is a very powerful ability, basically that Thanos ultimate ability to where it does the reduction. I don't know how I feel where you need the full team, considering Thanos Endgame doesn't need the full team to be able to do that. Maybe if it was 3 or more again, I'd be more lenient with it. Requiring the full team on the offense, though, I don't care for that because, again, that takes away some theory crafting to where you can't use some of these mythic characters or plug-and-play characters to really make the team shine. Now, in raids, this is very interesting on how they have this set up for order of operations. It's going to do a heal block, disrupt, clear barrier, clear charge from all enemies. That tells me in the raids, there could be Black Knights, there could be Green Goblin Classics, a lot of characters with charge on the other side of the field, so that way you can clear the charge away, and then you're going to be able to reduce the duration of all positive effects by 2. You're going to do the damage, get the vulnerable out there, and then apply trauma for 2 turns to all enemies, ability block for 2 turns to 2 random support enemies, and it's going to have the extra focus. Now, the interesting thing is if you make her a striker and you open up with this ability, it's going to apply the vulnerable, and then you can get the striker attack immediately after. However, because she's going first and you're going to be reducing those positive effects anyways, you don't need to really play into the flip and 3 positive effects with that ability. That would get you the extra damage, but I think Raider is still going to be the way to go for her. Here's the passive. You see all the highlighting on here. On a successful attack by this character, apply defense down to each attacked target. That's her passive. Pretty much that's all it is. Now, on offense, with the full team, lower the enemy's dodge chance by 100%, and enemies cannot gain death proof. You have to have a full team for these abilities to happen. The dodge chance is offense only, though, so that way if they're on the defense, you don't have to worry about that. In raids, this portion here, I don't know how I feel about it. I think they could have done one of these in raids, one outside of raids. In raids on spawn, build speed bar by 15% plus 5% per Vigilante ally for self and all Vigilante allies. Locking this behind raids means this team doesn't really have any form of speed up. This team's going to be susceptible to teams that end up spawning in with a extra speed bar or a flat speed increase on their team. They're not going to be able to punch into them because this team doesn't have a way to get that. When an enemy that has vulnerable is attacked, build speed bar by 50% for self and all Vigilante allies. So that's basically her passive. There's not much to it. Half of it's in raids, half of it's basically you need the full team to basically take care of it. So that is unfortunate in my opinion. Hitmonkey's going to be going second on the team. Hero City Skill Blaster Vigilante, a speed of 127. Basic is Makarak Attack. I think I said that correctly. I probably didn't. Attack primary target for 300% damage. Apply bleed for 2 turns. If this character has 4 or more Vigilante allies, prolong the duration of all negative effects by 1 up to a maximum of 3. Because he's going second, I could definitely see a striker being on him However, he does play into the crit portion of crit chance, crit damage pretty well. So I could see a Raider being on him, so you can really ramp up that crit damage. The ISO attack's going to be doing the same thing. You need the full team and prolong the duration of all negative effects by 1 up to a maximum of 3. So the special is called Monkeying Around. It's a 4/4 turn 1 ability if you want to do that. Attack primary target for 250% damage. Apply 1 vulnerable up to maximum of 5. Prolong the duration of all negative effects by 1 up to maximum of 3. This is going to have a chain to 4 targets within 2 spaces of the previous target for 250% damage, and apply +1 vulnerable up to 5. Prolong the duration of all negative effects by 1 up to maximum of 3. So yeah, very, very powerful ability. The chain to 2 spaces of the previous is basically what Old Man Logan can do. So you kind of see the damage he can do. This is a regular chain. It doesn't say a rebound chain. So that is very important on there. This attack gains 25% crit damage against targets that have vulnerable. Counterattack does not break this chain. The ultimate is Assassinate. Energy cost 6/6, able to be used turn 1 as well. Attack primary target for 300% piercing. Apply stun for 1 turn, trauma for 2 turns. Bonus attack the enemy with the highest damage, ignoring taunt and stealth for 300% piercing. Apply speed up for 1 turn. Offense up for 2 turns to self and all vigilante allies. Gain 1000% extra focus for this attack. So this is how you're going to get that speed up. Is Silver Sable is going to go at 128 speed, and then you're going to be able to get offense or speed up on the team for 1 turn. That doesn't sound that great in my opinion. This is going to drop off fairly quickly. I believe we don't have a way to prolong the positive effects on this team either. So this speed up is going to drop off fairly quickly in my opinion. So this is the issue I have with the team, is that speed up. Now in raids, the bonus attack is going to be applying stun and trauma to them as well. So 1 turn stun, 2 turn trauma. If he's a striker for you, this is going to be prolonging the duration of those negative effects as well. So you're going to be able to get the stun out there for 2 turns, trauma for 3 turns on there. That is very powerful. Passive is Saru Assassin. On turn or on enemy turn with vulnerable. Let me start that over. On turn or an enemy with vulnerable turn. There we go. If this character's health is full, attack the enemy with the highest health, ignoring taunt and stealth. For 200% piercing, apply +1 vulnerable up to a maximum of 5. Now, if this character's health is not full, heal for 10% of this character's max health. So what this is basically saying is if he's at full health, he's going to be doing the out of turn damage anytime an enemy with vulnerable ends up taking the turn or on his turn. If he is not at full health, he's going to heal up for 10%. And then when it goes to the next vulnerable turn, then he's going to go back to doing the damage again. So this is a way to kind of keep him sustained and keep the damage output going. This is a very interesting mechanic to kind of work with the out of turn damage and of heal kind of locked into it. That's very interesting, and I think I kind of like it because that keeps him alive. Now, on enemy death, generate 1 ability energy for themselves. While any enemy has vulnerable, gain plus 25% crit damage. For each enemy that has vulnerable, gain 5% crit chance up to a maximum of 25. So he can get an extra 25% crit chance and an extra 25% crit damage on him. If this character has 4 or more vigilante allies, non-mythic enemies cannot have their speed increased except by positive effects. That means it shuts down Super Skrull, that shuts down Apocalypse, and this is everywhere with the full team. So that's very powerful. It doesn't even say on offense for that portion of it. Now, in raids on enemy death, he is going to be generating 1 ability energy for all vigilante allies as well. So he has a very interesting, very powerful kit. I think I'm fine with this being the 4 more vigilante allies. Some of the other characters where they lock it, like the Daredevil Modern Pre-Taunt, needing the full team, for instance. That's a big one I really don't care for. But some of the others seem very powerful, and I can kind of see why they're doing that. It just feels weird that this team is basically locked to be an offensive team outside of raids, and you need the full team together to really get more of the kit. So as a plug and play, they really eliminated any plug and play value for what this team can really do. Maybe Silver Sable with that turn 1 ability block at 128 speed. Maybe pair her with like a Nightcrawler or something to kind of speed her up. That could be something that we can look into. But let's go ahead and check out the reworked characters. Now with Punisher first. Massive stat increases, 729% health, about 400% damage, 400% armor, 600 focus, about 550 resist, and his speed is going to 115. So he is getting a speed increase. Daredevil was 118. So far he looks like he's going 4th on the team. Basic is M4 carbine. We're just going to look at the new stats. Attack primary for 260% piercing. Chain to 2 adjacent for 260% piercing as well. Before there's just a percent chance to do the chain. The special is a grenade launcher. Now before it's transfer 1 positive effect, now it's transfer 3 positive effects, excluding taunt from the primary target to self, all vigilante allies, and all military allies. Attack primary target for 260% piercing, and then attack all adjacent enemies for 260% piercing as well. The ultimate fully loaded. If this character has 4 more vigilante allies, clear barrier from all enemies. So you need a full team to do the barrier clear. And then it's going to attack a primary target for 250%, and then attack all enemies for 250% piercing. So that primary target's getting hit with 500% piercing damage. That's a massive amount of damage. Passive, lock and loaded. So when an enemy attacks a vigilante ally, if this character has 4 more vigilante allies, attack that enemy for 125% piercing. So there is a retaliate on the team through Punisher. So anytime they hit any of your characters, they're getting hit back for that 125% piercing. And if they have vulnerable on them, Hitmonkey's either healing up or do damage as well to them. So that's a lot of retaliates coming from this team. When a vigilante or defender ally uses their special, attack the most injured enemy for 125% piercing. So there's some out of turn damage. Before there was the if at least one ally is a city hero, there's a chance for non-attack abilities to get basically an assist chance with them. So that's kind of what they ended up doing to this. On hit, apply +1 vulnerable up to a maximum of 5. In raids, it's also going to be applying bleed on there. This character's attacks deal additional 50% damage to any villain enemy. So he does extra damage to villains as well. So that's pretty cool they kept that in there. For Elektra, health stat about 550, damage 400, armor about 600, focus about 600, resist about 400. Now, I don't know what her speed stat is. It doesn't look like she had a change on here either, and I don't have the game pulled up for that. Basic is sneak attack. Attack primary target for 250% damage, apply 2 bleed, gain 1000% extra focus for this attack, so they're definitely getting the bleeds on them. The special, Into the Shadow, attack primary target for 300% piercing damage now, apply +2 vulnerable up to maximum of 5, clear 5 positive effects as well, so that's a huge positive effect clear that she ends up having. The ultimate Vital Strike, it's going to clear barrier from the primary target, attack the primary target for 500% damage, plus 20% piercing, plus apply Disrupt for 2 turns. This has an extra 500% extra focus, and on a kill, it's going to fill the speed bar by 80%. Now, in raids, this is also going to get an additional plus 25% damage per nade effect on the target. So, in raids, this is going to do some massive, massive damage. In raids, if the primary target is 3 or more vulnerable, this attack deals double damage. So that's 1000% damage, plus the piercing, plus the extra damage per negative effect on there. In raids, this is just going to be a one-shot kill, basically is how I'm reading this. The passive is Death's Grace. On spawn, apply evade to self and all adjacent, vigilante, shadowland, and hand allies. So she's keeping the evades to the adjacent allies. So placement's going to be very important for this character. I would probably put her adjacent to Hitmonkey for sure. Even though he gets the out of turn heal, that's going to allow him to do the out of turn damage more often because of the evades. And then probably next to like Silver Sable, until we get more stars on him, then we might look at the adjacent placement more after that. On death, plus 15% chance to revive with 100% of this character's max health. Now with the full team, this goes to 100% chance revive. I think I'm okay with that. They could have done something a little bit more interesting, like for each character, add additional revive chance on them. I think that could have been better than require the full team to get the 100%. Make it to where it can maybe get to like a 75% if we end up dropping in character type of thing. Now in raids, generate 5 ability energy for self and all vigilante allies. So in raids, she's going to make sure everybody's able to start with full abilities right off the bat. That's kind of what they end up doing with these raids anyways. But yeah, overall, I am skeptical as far as how this team is going to perform outside of raids. We're going to have to use a full team. It's going to be on offense, but it feels like a third of the kit is in raids. A third of the kit is you need the full team. And then there's the base portion of the kit. And some of these where you have to have the full team is very impactful. So that doesn't really leave room for us to substitute any characters in, which definitely is a shame. I think I would have liked to maybe substitute out Elektra, maybe. At least Punisher, he does out of turn damage on here. But maybe take Elektra out. We could substitute somebody else in. But we need to have, say, like the pre-time. We need to have the positive buff decay on the other side of the field when Silver Sable does that ultimate ability. But let me know what you guys think about this. Do you like the kits? Do you think they're going to perform outside of raids? I'm definitely interested to know. I don't think they're going to be as good as the Night Stalkers. They might be a little bit on par with the Orcus team, in my opinion. Orcus at least allows you for some flexibility, in my opinion. So hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, have a wonderful rest of the day.